They say the housing market is broken and that builders are the ones to blame or who are making it worse. But what if I told you it was actually builders, especially in the affordable housing sector, that are holding things together? This is not just about profit, it's about purpose and survival. And with the affordable housing, we can actually reinvigorate the entire U.S. economy. So I can remember back in 2020 standing on vacant lots that we were building our affordable housing on and crunching the numbers, trying to calculate the best ways to make it work, not only for the renters, but our investors buying them, because there was such a need in the market and it was being left behind. Trades were disappearing, materials were disappearing, and where were they going to? They were going to the emotional markets. Now, the emotional markets is what I consider double the median value for an area. So let's say Jacksonville, Florida's median value is $300,000. Well, then the emotional market, these houses were being built at about $600,000, $700,000, and they were flying off the shelves with great interest rates, lots of promotion, being very pretty. But while that's happening, the need for this workforce housing, for the working man to have that actual place to live, which was in short supply here in Florida where the population just exploded, they were being left behind. And although it was tempting to move into that market, we stuck to our guns and continued to try to provide that housing that was the most in need and the backbone really of our economy, the affordable workforce housing sector. The myth is that builders, especially in the affordable housing sector, are the weak link in real estate. We're actually the backbone. We're holding things together and we're supplying things that most builders didn't even want to touch during the good times and certainly aren't doing now in the bad times. And that's the workforce housing, because the working man is still working and still in need of housing. And also what you'll see at these times is that everything is falling. The realtors out there getting on YouTube are saying, oh my gosh, every market is falling. You shouldn't have bought in the emotional markets where we sold you the properties. And what they're trying to do is get people to list at lower prices in the emotional market so they can still make their commissions and move on irregardless of loss. And again, most builders who built those big emotional houses, they don't care either. They've moved on or now are sitting on the sidelines, even though there's still this need for the affordable housing sector where there's lower margins, but there's still a great need. So they sit on the sidelines and wait for other builders like us to continue to deliver what the greatest need in the American economy is right now, and that's affordable workforce housing. With over 25 years experience now in renovating and building new homes, I've seen this firsthand. See, the affordable housing builders like us, we take the risks with our capital, with our time, because you have to remember, the margins are razor thin compared to building the big emotional houses in those good times. And we continue to take that risk even during times of uncertainty like now, because we know that that housing is in need. We also know that the investors that buy into the properties with us, well, they can still make a great return with stability. And that is huge right now. I've always said since the beginning of 2025, this is the year of affordability. It's the affordable housing and the people that will deliver affordable housing that will continue to thrive, provide a needed service, not only for the renters out there, the first-time home buyers, but also the investors that are trying to find a safer return for their money without a lot of the other fluctuations within other sectors of the real estate market. Yes, we use mortgage, buy-downs, and incentives. And this is to your advantage, not to ours, because it keeps the real estate market stable moving forward, especially in the workforce housing, affordable housing range. Look at it this way. A lot of realtors out there will tell you, oh, my properties aren't making sense anymore. They cannot get you the incentives, the mortgage incentives that we can. They can't get the seller of the house that they're representing to get you that mortgage rate, because in order to get the mortgage rates we're getting with our mortgage buy downs, you have to have a certain financial status and balance sheet for the banks to feel comfortable to give us those types of mortgage monies. You can't get that with an open listing. Your realtor can't get that for you. So naturally, I've seen a lot of realtors talking down, oh, a builder's overcharging you for that property because of their incentives. Nothing could be further from the truth. As my mentor always told me, you can buy a property with good cash or good terms, good price or good terms. In today's market, in order to keep the market moving in affordable housing, investors have to see cash flow. The mortgage incentives will provide better terms that will make it make sense for them to still buy it, receive cash flow, and give the affordable housing renters a place to live. Otherwise, they stay on the sideline, and this crisis of not having affordable workforce housing would continue. So don't ask why we focus on affordable housing or mortgage incentives and buy downs. Ask why others do not. Well, again, realtors, they can't get the mortgage incentives that we're offering. If they list a property for someone, first of all, they're going to try to get them to list at the lowest price because the marketing out there right now says the market's terrible. You got to sell your house at a huge discount. You're in trouble. And they try to get them to list it at the lower price. This artificially takes down the actual real estate values. It happens all the time, especially in the emotional markets. I'm watching realtors do it all the time in Jacksonville. Properties worth $600,000. They're telling people to list it at $475, that they're in trouble. They better get out before the market continues to sink. And also remember, they cannot get these rates. That is impossible. And the most of the builders, well, they don't want to build affordable. Why? The profit spreads. They would rather sit on the sideline, not do anything, instead of take the risk to build affordable housing. They'd rather wait a few years for the market to come back, and then they can make their bigger spreads on bigger emotional properties. And right now, that leaves the little man, the workforce housing person, out in the cold. So kudos to the builders that are still out there putting their time, money, and effort on the line right now. And believe me, not all builders are the same. Some builders focus just on the good times and the luxurious markets. Others go to the little bit harder, little bit less served market of workforce affordable housing. And those are the guys that are making the market hold together. That's where we're focused right now. And most of the growth is occurring. Affordable housing is needed. Most people don't want to bother building it, except for the builders who are truly committed to it and see it not only as purpose now, but long prosperity for the community in the future. So real estate is not dead. It's being reborn in a new way. We saw 5 years ago that so many builders were focusing on the emotional market. Again, those prices that are 100, 120% above the median value for a home in the area. Those are pretty. They're easy to promote in good times, easy to get people to buy. But when the market starts to soften in those areas, and that is the area that has always by history had the biggest softening, well, people get scared. They can't rent the property for a profit. They can't sell the property easily. People who want to buy the property, well, the rates have gone up. It doesn't make sense for them anymore. And this is where you see all of the media and all the news focusing. And where are the builders that built those properties? Well, they've moved on. It's not their problem. It's different for builders who work in workforce housing and affordable housing communities. We stay in it for the long term. A lot of times we own properties in there and manage them long term. So it looks very different. And so, even so, with everything that's happened, although that was the most needed part, the most needed sector of the housing market, it was the most underserved. And the people that are focused on it today and willing to still put their time, money, and effort into these housing, well, that's going to create not only thriving communities because people really need that place to live. It's also going to provide sound investments for investors who do want to continue to invest in the housing markets without a lot of the volatility. That's what we focus on. That's why builders who focus on this type of housing are still making waves today. So next time you hear about rising interest rates and falling prices, look a little closer. Are they referring to the emotional market, those homes priced 2.5 times more than the average family home in that area? And if so, you know that those are the homes that have the most volatility. Now these homes today, when people are trying to resell them, it's a high interest rate. They cannot get the larger discounts on interest rates like builder forward commitments that builders can provide, and those are having a lot of issues. But just close to that market and a little bit below, there are builders still working hard. What are these builders doing? Well, they're making a difference, doing the everyday work to provide that workforce affordable housing, offering incentives that actually make it affordable for people to live there with rents they can afford, and investors to own the properties where it still creates cash flow. Because if you get rid of that, well, then all of the investor markets in those smaller sectors start to dry up and people don't want to be there. You want to have these things working together. And kudos to you builders that are still out there making it happen. You are holding the market together and preparing us for the next upswing.